Say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, say, baby. Say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down by my side? Baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down by my side? Baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, say, baby. Say, baby. Say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down by my side? Baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby. Say, baby. Say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down by my side? Baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby. Say, baby.
Okay, how's it going, party people? Sorry, still setting up a little bit. These ring lights really suck. Literally, I had everything set up just before you guys came in, so don't blame me. It's a ring light. Alright, so today is the 30th of January. It is in Chicago. It's fucking freezing out, so hopefully you're not in Chicago. Yeah, it's been a weird week. I know this is just the beginning of this week, but yeah, last week really sucked. And it's already starting me at the conclusion that 2023 is not going to be any better, you know. I was really hoping we were going to have a better year than the last, because it seems like we're just regressing. So let's start off by our usual. And again, I smoke on the show because I choose to smoke on the show. If you do not like it, go to your vape or whatever the fuck you do. I really don't care. To the rest of you guys, love you guys. Cheers. Enjoy your weed. As you can tell, I'm already a little bitter. And yeah, it's just because there's just too much going on already. Now, I didn't even know what section to put this in. I wasn't sure whether to put this into just chatting or politics, but I've noticed that politics is not a very popular place to stream on Twitch. And Twitch fans really don't want to deal with politics. And I don't blame them, because, I mean, everything has become politicized these days. And it's sad, because the things that we should politicize are the things that we completely ignore. And the things that we actually, do politicize are just the most ridiculous arguments and most ridiculous topics in general to get mad about. And one thing that I'm noticing is that I was talking yesterday about the the death of Trey Nichols, and just how pathetic this was, because this is a different situation, but it's really not, and it's just so let me just go ahead and start off by saying there's a great quote by H.P. Lovecraft that starts off as, "The most merciful thing in the world, I think, is the inability of the human mind to correlate all of its contents. We live on a placid island of ignorance, in the midst of black seas of infinity, and it is not meant that we should venture far." H.P. Lovecraft speaks about our innate need for fear, ignorance, and the idea that man can either open up to the ways of thought and create a new revolution of thought, or we can simply understand where we are, get terrified, and run back into the caves and start a whole new dark age. And one of just the ignorance, but it's the chaos of life itself, let alone the probability for chaos the probability for chaos when the ignorant are being provoked by the nefarious. Now, when this happens, of course, the ignorant are very easy to provoke. So the modern man is all but what needs to be. We are still foolish, we are still naive, and we are still afraid of the dumbest shit. And we've come no further along than a sandcastle in the darkest trace of the tide. And we take so many steps backward, it's really hard to believe that we have made any progress at all, let alone know that we've come this far. And the problem is that we've come this far, but some of us, we did not all come here together. And so since we didn't all arrive together, this will always be that great divide. You cannot use old, warm blood for a transfusion, just as you can't transfuse ideas into dead, closed minds. Life has made some amazing progresses, and we should, and almost never do, take the time to actually appreciate them when we have the time to do so. Instead, we don't appreciate them until we hit a whole new low. Now, I want to get into the Nichols thing, and I want to say that white policemen killing a black man while the world sits and stares. Where is this example of progress? Now, we come after Rodney King, now we're seeing 5 black policemen beating a black kid to death. And barely ready to legally be called a man, but now this kid is already declared legally dead. And what did they all have in common if not race? Depends on which side of the telescope you choose to look in. But really, it seems like it is an institutional problem, not a race problem. And the racial divide comes from that institution. So again, it's the source itself. It's the institution. Now, white serial killers tend to kill more black teenage girls because they know that they won't make the news as fast as a white girl will, and are more likely to not really look hard for the victim in hand. So it's funny that I just read a thing that talked about black serial killers are 80% more likely to kill black teenage girls. And guess why? Because they get less PR and are more likely to get off. Because no one's going to be looking for it. So, again, what difference is it if it's not just black or white serial killers? It's the institution that it's the media that doesn't provide us any information on these missing black girls. That's what our problem is. It's not that it's a white serial killer, it's a black serial killer. The problem is that we do not post a black girl being killed the same way a white girl gets killed. When a white girl gets killed, it's on every station. When a black girl gets killed in Chicago, it's only on Channel 9 or whatever the local news is at that time. So again, maybe we are looking through the wrong end again, and we probably should be focusing on the constant rather than the differences. See, and that's what I mean by looking at the wrong end of the telescope, you know. The institutions that we've held on to as our protectors and the men and women that watch the very streets that we walk. This is our problem. We have taught our police to fear the public, and we've taught our public to fear the police. And the one excuse they could always go to, it was like tagging base for that wimpy kid that never liked getting tackled. And what they would always do, base was, at that point, I feared for my life. You guys basically made that like a police amendment that they can run to. So the common excuse was always the same. At that point, I feared for my life. Now, this time, we have an all-black lineup. And, this is all 5 cops were black. Now, this time, we saw them. They were fired so fast, they didn't even realize that they were left with no legal representation. Now, remember, these people are disgusting, and they're part of a flawed institution. But again, it's that institution that taught them their own flaws. So this at first, when it was a white problem, the police in question, if it was a white policeman, always seemed to get proper counsel. They always seem to get proper counsel, some sort of press release that talks about how these guys were doing their job and their job is very dangerous. And I can't help but notice that none of that was brought up this time. Instead, these guys were just thrown to the wolves and immediately seen as now like a black problem. And again, it's not a black problem, it's an institutional problem with our police. And our state of California, 2 weeks ago, they threw 3 mass shootings in 3 days. Last year, we had over 650 mass shootings in a country as a whole, just within 365 days. I mean, that's almost 2 deaths a day. I mean, that's almost 2 mass shootings a day. We aren't losing votes here. And that's the common thing is to question and complain about. We're not losing votes. We're losing our fucking lives. We're losing our lives and we're losing our actual rights to be human, not to be American, not to be a part of the institutionalized societies, but simply as a human. We have a human problem. We watch television, and I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to television lately, but it's constantly, we watch television, TV late night hosts, and they antagonize each other from the other end because the left has, so many people on major channels, whereas the right, they have their own little weirdo channels. And so we watch these guys just constantly antagonizing each side to the other until it gets so goddamn heated that it just revolves and resorts to a personal attack. And, watching the Pelosi video and seeing this psychotic male break into a back door, break into the room. Now, at first, when I heard about Pelosi's husband being hit by a hammer, I honestly thought this had to be a botched hit. It sounded like a botched hit, like it was meant for Pelosi, but her husband was there. So, now that the footage is actually out, it's amazing how they just stood there and allowed this man with a fucking hammer to literally struggle with the husband over this hammer. Now, I'm pretty damn sure that if that excuse me, if that policeman, let's say that was his father, he would have shot the guy with the hammer instantly. Instead they stood there and just watched as if trying to find out, what is this guy really going to do? And as soon as the husband tried to pull the hammer away, you see he immediately gets it behind his head and whack. And you can hear the smack of the metal fracturing his skull. You can literally hear it. If you check it out, it's a very graphic video, but it is on the Young Turks, if you catch that. I happen to be a big fan of it. They I will not say I agree with everything, but they definitely do some great journalism. And so, watching that video was just absolutely disgusting. It was disgusting. It was frightening because I had never seen... I've seen it in other countries, but I'd never seen our culture do this. Like, I've never seen our policemen just stand there and watch this happen. Now, when you saw this on Fox News, they completely talk about, like, how do we know they broke in? Meanwhile, the video is showing them breaking in. And I will give it to one of the hosts. They did say that to the guy, saying, what you can clearly see he's breaking in right now. Sometimes I really do think that Fox News anchors don't even believe the shit that they're being fed. Like, I know that they have to promote it, but it's funny how they've already proven and shown their true colors that they don't give a shit. They know that it's lies, and they mention that whenever they actually have to be subpoenaed, they mention it. So, oh yeah, we knew that Trump never won the election. It's like, okay, that's great. Why didn't you say something like when it mattered? Instead, you waited until we had to subpoena you and put you in front of your holy Bible that you cling to so much, you know, which is another cheap, archaic way of doing things that we really got to get rid of. I can swear on a stack of Bibles that my skin color is green, and that's just because it's a bunch of books. I don't care. What is a stack of Bibles to a person with no religion? You know, that's the same thing as putting a gun to Superman. It doesn't matter. We don't care. It doesn't stop us from doing anything. And that's just coming from me being a agnostic person that's very proud of being agnostic, because it took a lot of understanding, empathy, sympathy, and overall research to become the agnostic that I am. So, pride is a strange feeling. It's a strange characteristic. It serves almost no purpose other than getting you in trouble and making you make an ass of yourself. Which is why I always loved that, you know, I was raised Catholic, so I was raised with pride comes before the fall. And so, you know, I understood the danger of pride. And I think when it comes down to it, pride is a feeling that you should only have after a series of actual exertion, you know, some sort of work. You had to have worked for it to be proud of it. So George Carlin used to mention being proud of being a man. He's not proud of it because he didn't ask for it. You know, would he prefer being a man? I don't know. He didn't know either because he'd never been a woman before. So, you know, it's just pride should be something that you earn. You know, pride should come from earning. Not like, I'm Italian. I was born that way. I didn't ask for it. So I'm happy to be Italian, but I'm not proud because I didn't do anything. So yeah, would I want to be like Chinese? I don't know. I've never lived a Chinese life. Maybe it's more fun. I don't know. And that's a huge problem with this world, and why I think 2023 is already sucks. Is already off to a sucky point, because I had such fucking hope for this year that maybe 2022 was enough to show us that we gotta stop with the dogma and the celebrity worship and the identity politics and the IPs and the fucking you know, pre-installed fan bases and superhero movies. I was really hoping that 2023 was going to be a start of something new, and we're falling right back in the same fucking shit. We are the fucking culture. We're the fat guy at, you know, we're the fat friend that you always say, that always says he's going to eat healthy but never does. And you just catch him, you know, literally asking if you want to go over to Wendy's, and it's like, dude, I thought you said you were on a diet. Oh, I can cheat. You know, we've become that. You know, the boy who cried wolf so many goddamn times. And it's so sad because, you know, history is no longer being written by the winners. History is written by all aspects of life. Everyone has a phone. Now, what I said yesterday that seemed to get a lot of positive reaction from was the fact that I said that it's great that you're filming these atrocities. It's great. It's a great way to put it out there and we can see what's going on. But it needs some sort of commentary to give us some sort of idea of what's going on here. You know, you have to give us some sort of what is going on. What is the actual situation? So, you know, having your phone out and filming is a great way to point out these people. But we need our voices. We need to be heard. We need to surround these kind of situations where we don't just stand back and allow everything to happen with our cell phones. You know, we need to shout and say, let him go, put him down. And you know, make sure that you're shouting out what they are doing. You know, even if you are filming it, shout it out so other people can really understand what's going on. If you don't add the context to it, people won't understand what's happening. You know, that gives too much room for doubt. Like, oh, well, maybe he hit the cop first. No, just fucking say what exactly is happening. If you were the first at the scene and you were the first one to be there, you saw everything happen, then be the one to say it. Be the one to say that this man is being held under against his will, this man is being tortured. Say it. If you don't, then they win. And again, the problem that I have with this institution, and, you know, I guess the devil's advocate way of looking at it is, somebody could say, oh, god damn it, even when it's all black cops, you still make it a white problem. And it's like, okay, motherfuckers, it's not about white or black, it's about the police and their mindset. And that needs to change. I was totally for the Defund the Police act, but nobody said it properly. Nobody, I mean, calling it Defund the Police didn't even come out right. So when people asked, are you know, for defunding the police, it was hard for me to say yes, because I always had to say yes, but, and then they would always go, oh, no, you just said it. And it's like, okay, you never let me finish. I wanted to say, but you have to understand what defund the police means. It does not mean don't pay cops anymore and let's fire all the cops. It just means let's flow some money and pipeline some money to the mental health aspect that is constantly a problem here. We have a mental health issue in this country. We have an institutional problem in this country. You know, I really should have put this under politics, but again, nobody cares. So, you know, I personally wouldn't click on politics because, you know, last thing I want to hear is some douchebag telling me what to think. And I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm just trying to say what color the fucking sky is. And I'm just really tired of looking at these black skies. Again, if you took that as a racist way, then that's all you. But again, I'm just so tired of seeing the same thing happening over and over again. And the fact that it's the same thing happening just under different circumstances, or, you know, the circumstances and people are always going to change, but it has nothing to do with the fact that our progress has not changed. That to me is the saddest part. Our progress is 1 step forward, 3 steps back, and, you know, where we are right now in 2023, it's just beginning to the second month. We haven't even gotten to the second month yet. And I'm already under the impression that this year is definitely going to be heavy and it's going to suck because nobody's learning anything. Now, I really appreciate all the love I got for the Mindy Sucks episode yesterday, but it's an overall pattern that seems to exist with people that can't seem to write a good story and rather just throwing themselves and inserting themselves in said story. So it's okay to have a different spin on something. Just don't bastardize it. Otherwise, just make it your own. Make something of your own. You don't have to rely on installed fan bases and pre-installed fan bases for your own project to work. So you don't have to spend your hours writing this great story that could have been a really great story, but you needed to adapt it to fucking, I don't know, DuckTales, you know? And it's like, well, it was a good story, but it had nothing to do with DuckTales. Okay, then get rid of DuckTales. The point is that the world we live in is just like the media that we consume, you know? It's the same shit, just with different actors, and it's pretty much the exact same story. It's like our society has become a giant Disney live action remake. You know, it's exactly the same, only shittier, and that's exactly what this year is already showing me. Is that, oh yeah, it's gonna be like 2022, just shittier. And I didn't think that was gonna be possible, but when I'm watching, you know, mass shooting after mass shooting, another kid getting murdered by police. Velma is no longer Velma from Scooby-Doo. The idea that... I'm sorry, I was just about to just jump at Mindy Kaling again, but that was yesterday. So, the point is, we are living this remake, and I really want a new fucking story already. Okay, so let's turn the damn page. Okay? That is my time. Thank you guys for spending it with me. Love you guys. Don't forget to write out this hashtag here. Free Ben's Doink is very important to us because Ben Shapiro is the most sexually repressed man of time, and he hates my guts. So please help me out. Throw this out there. Make sure you let Ben Shapiro know he sucks and he's a complete bigot that has lip filler. And so, with that, I say I love you guys, take care of each other, and as always, I will see you on the other side. Stay cheesy, my friends.
Say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down by my side? Baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, say, baby. Say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down by my side? Baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down by my side? Baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, say, baby, say, baby, say, baby, say, baby, do you